Welcome, test dummies, to the Cardboard Crash Course. Today we're going to be taking a test ride through the Mahact Gene-Sorcerers, a faction from the Prophecy of Kings expansion for Twilight Imperium 4th edition. We're going to be going through a faction overview of the components, as well as a little bit of an in-depth guide for more experienced players. Without further ado, let's head on out.
So first we take a look at the faction sheet for the Gene-Sorcerers. They stand proud in a royal garb in front of the holy planet of Ixth, an ancient planet of power and intrigue, known across the galaxy as just a myth, housing the Mahact that were long dead. The story goes that a Kraus expedition discovered the Ixth homeworld and unleashed the Mahact across the galaxy once again, reigniting the terror and control they have on the Galactic Council. With such a powerful prelude, they really are deserving of the most powerful home system in the game. This is a 3-resource and 5-influence planet. With a combined total like that, that is more powerful than even Mechatol Rex itself. They come from something truly special. And with that, their starting fleet in that system contains a dreadnought, a carrier, a cruiser, 2 fighters, 2 infantry, or rather Crimson Legionnaires, and a space dock. This is a powerful but a little bit flimsy fleet. The 1 carrier really puts it off there, but I don't think they're going to have that big of an issue regaining that power early on, especially using that planet's resource value and getting their abilities back up. Also starting, they're going to be getting 2 of the new Prophecy of Kings technologies, both 1 prerequisite. The green one is Biostims, reading, you may exhaust this card at the end of your turn to ready one of your planets that has a tech specialty or one of your other techs. So anything you've grabbed from exploration, from researching technology, you're going to be able to use twice. Really boosting that efficiency, getting you back up to speed with everybody else at the board and pushing you past late game. The other one you're going to be getting is Predictive Intelligence. This reads, at the start of your turn, or rather at the end of your turn, you may exhaust this card to redistribute your command tokens. When you cast votes during the agenda phase, you may cast 3 additional votes. If you do and the outcome you voted for is not resolved, exhaust this card. So, although the bottom ability really peters out late game once people get more and more influence, this top ability is always incredibly powerful. This is going to be used in conjunction with their faction abilities, which we'll take a look at right now. Those faction abilities are really the bread and butter of the Gene-Sorcerers. Starting with Edict, it reads, when you win a combat, place 1 command token from your opponent's reinforcements in your fleet pool if it does not already contain one of that player's tokens. Other players' tokens in your fleet pool increase your fleet limit but cannot be redistributed. So after attacking somebody, space or ground combat, you're going to be able to rip those tokens away from them. Not only are they not going to be able to use it for the rest of the game, but also you're going to be gaining abilities from it, like Imperia. This reads, while another player's command token is in your fleet pool, you can use the ability of that player's commander if it is unlocked. The commanders, being a new powerful passive ability for every faction in the game, are going to be able to be stolen from you, or by you, throughout the game as you're ripping those command tokens away. This is hindered a little bit by Hubris, which reads, during setup, purge your Alliance Promissory Note. Other players cannot give you their Alliance Promissory Notes. So that Alliance Promissory Note is a new one from the Prophecy of Kings. This allows you to trade away your commander abilities and create, peaceful alliances with people, as the name suggests. These guys don't care. Whether or not you want to give your Alliance Promissory Note to them, they're going to be able to steal your commander ability either way. This is heavily helped by their flagship, Arvicon Rex. This is a powerful flagship with the normal 8 cost, 5x2 combat, movement of 1, 3 capacity, and sustained damage, as well as the ultra powerful ability during combat against an opponent whose command token is not in your fleet pool. Apply +2 to the results of this unit's combat rolls. So, really hitting on a 3x2 against those that you're hunting down. This is super powerful, and as soon as you can get this out, I really suggest it. This is one that you're going to be wanting to use as soon as other people are unlocking their commander abilities, and really stealing away those tokens from them as soon as you can. This is also in conjunction with their special infantry there called Crimson Legionnaires. These are Kraus troops that have been mind-controlled by the Mahact and changed into their minions. Because of this, they are expendable, and they have the ability, after this unit is destroyed, gain 1 commodity or convert one of your commodities to a trade good. So, although they do have the normal cost of 1 for 2 and the combat value of 8, you're going to be getting back more than you pay for with them. As long as you keep suiciding them into people's systems, grabbing those command tokens from them, you're going to be getting back way more than you've paid. Especially once you use one of their faction technologies, Crimson Legionnaire 2, which has the same values, except it has a combat of 7, and also reads the normal Infantry 2 ability of once this unit is destroyed, place it on this card. At the start of your next turn, place each unit that is on this card on a planet you control in your home system. So although they're expendable, these Kraus are going to be able to teleport and respawn at your home system, allowing you to keep sending them out and keep launching them at other people's systems, grabbing them and being able to be reused afterward. Although this is incredibly powerful, it's not quite as controlling as their other faction technology, Genetic Recombination. So along with the Crimson Legionnaires being a 2 green prerequisite, this is a 1 green prerequisite, really creating a theme for them. This reads, you may exhaust this card before a player casts votes. That player must cast at least 1 vote for an outcome of your choice, or remove 1 token from their fleet pool and return it to their reinforcements. Alongside predictive intelligence, this is going to give you a crazy control over the agenda phase in the game. This may not seem too powerful to begin with because it is only 1 vote. You're not really going to be swinging it in a direction of your choice, but as we'll take a look at later, this can really make somebody vote for something they never wanted in the first place, either screwing them over or not allowing them to benefit from voting a specific way that they wanted. Looking at the new mech units from the King's expansion, the Star Lancer, a bit of a strange name for them, as you will see later on, their leaders have more fancy names, but hey, I digress. At the normal cost of 2, the combat value of 6, and the sustained damage that most mechs in the game get, but it also has the ability, after a player whose command token is in your fleet pool activates this system, you may spend their token from your fleet pool to end their turn. They gain that token. This is a super powerful defensive capability. Just like the X-Jaw, you're going to be able to end the turn of those who want to attack you. This is a little more linear than the X-Jaw's ability, however, because you do have to have used Edict on them. But if you have already used Edict on them, those are probably the people at the table who are going to be wanting to come and attack you anyway. So you really can shut them down. This is only a once per person ability, but this can be crippling to them if they spend a token and you shut them down immediately. Moving on to their ultra powerful leaders, we're going to be taking a look at their agent. This is Jaymir Khan, Archon of Prosperity, an exhaustible card that you start unlocked. This reads, when you would spend a command token during the secondary ability of a strategic action, you may exhaust this card to remove one of the active player's command tokens from the board and use it instead. So right off the bat, an extra strategic token each turn. That's already powerful enough. But when you think about things like construction or diplomacy, this really gets into some interesting meta plays where you can kind of warfare somebody, taking their token off the board, saying, oh, give me a little bit for that, and I'll help you out, but also benefiting yourself greatly. This is one of the most versatile agents I've seen, and I really enjoy it. Moving on to their commander, this is Ilna Viroset, Archon of Virtue. It has the unlock condition of having 2 other factions' command tokens in your fleet pool. This, of course, requires you to use Edict twice on people. So this will force you into being aggressive, but I think if you're playing the Mahact, you're already going to be wanting to do a little bit of aggression anyway. So once you unlock this, which will be fairly easy, you're going to get the ability, during your tactical actions, you may activate systems that contain your command tokens. If you do, return both command tokens to your reinforcements and end your turn. This is a warfare that you use on yourself constantly. Although expensive, 3 tokens is a lot to activate something twice. This is truly a flexible and powerful ability, especially in the late game when you're going to be grabbing all of those command tokens and have extra in your tactic pool from being able to use predictive intelligence and redistribute them away from your fleet pool. This can cripple somebody if you double activate a system and then attack, or move out of somewhere that they're coming for you. It's really a crazy powerful ability. Finally, moving on to their hero. This also begins locked and has the same unlock ability of having 3 scored objectives, just like every other hero. This is the Archon of Command, and when unlocked, gives you the Pax Magnifica Benediction ability. It's an action that says, move all units in the space area of any system to an adjacent system that contains a different player's ships. Space combat is resolved in that system, and neither player can retreat or resolve abilities that would move their ships, and then purge this card. Keep in mind, this does not say you have to move your own, and it does not give any restrictions on how large the fleet can be. You can either cripple 2 people that have been giving you trouble each game, move somebody away when they're coming to attack. Any way you want to spin it, you're forcing a conflict between 2 players anywhere at the table. This can Kingslay if you see somebody creeping to the end. This could move somebody off Mechatol for you to grab and take. This can do so much. And we'll take an even deeper look at everything once we do a deeper dive here. The last thing I want to talk about is their promissory note. It is the Scepter of Dominion. This reads, once you give it out to another player to use. At the start of the strategy phase, choose 1 non-home system that contains your units. Each other player who has a token on the Mahact player's command sheet places a token from their reinforcements in that system, then return this card to the Mahact player. A little thing to keep in mind, this also affects the Mahact's tokens. So this is going to be a mini diplomacy on both the Mahact and everybody that the Mahact has attacked throughout the game. This is very, very dependent on the game state. This can either go one of 2 ways. One is that somebody needs it and is willing to pay almost anything to shut down an enemy or a group of enemies that are coming, or nobody really needs it and it's a very passive game and it becomes more useless to everybody. This can be sold for a lot or just be completely useless. It really depends, but you're going to have to be looking out for when people will need it from you. So, my first impressions of this faction is incredibly positive. They look like a ton of fun to play. This starting fleet is a little bit rough, but with the crazy powerful leaders, the super powerful starting planet, those starting techs, I think you're going to be able to get it back up no problem. This is less of an aggressive faction, as you don't need to be constantly attacking people to grab those tokens, and more of a control faction. Once you grab those tokens, you need to be doing everything in your power to keep people from attacking you, keep people from getting them back, and using those tokens to your advantage. I would suggest not using too much of Edict until other people have their commanders unlocked, but if you do get yourself in a position where you may have done it a little too early or a little too aggressively, your Star Lancer can shut them right down. I think that both their aggressive and defensive capabilities together make them an excellent faction to deal with. So, let's go ahead and take a look at the strategy cards they enjoy, the technologies they enjoy, and a couple of combos that I think aren't immediately apparent.
You know, when I used to think about the Mahact starting position, I used to be pretty disappointed in the fleet. I mean, one carrier, one cruiser, Dreadnought's pretty nice, but only has one capacity. Although I did mess up earlier in the video by saying there were only 2 infantry when there are 3, it's still not incredible. I mean, it's no Winnu, but it's not incredible. But the more I thought about it, the more I played with Mahact, the more I realized what it's actually asking is you choose your starting fleet. Because of that insanely powerful home system. Ixth is a 3/5, which means you can grab another carrier. You can grab 5 infantry. You can grab really whatever you need. And what it's asking you is to start looking at the table. If you're playing with a created board, start looking at the board as it's being created and not just as you're playing. This is where we start getting into this faction is not entirely for beginners. I don't think a beginner would think about that as they're making the board. It's really impressive though, because once you get into it, you can move 2 of your infantry out, you can move 1 of your infantry out, take a 2 and a 1 planet system, and start spreading immediately. So it's a little bit more versatile than it comes across at first. What I do really want to talk about is your early game pick of strategy cards. I do think that warfare and leadership are 2 sides of the same coin. Either you're going to be activating multiple systems with warfare, removing them, doing it again, or having just a ton of command tokens with leadership. Both of them are super impressive for the Mahact. They're going to have so much leftover resource and influence because of your starting planets, especially in the early rounds, that you're going to have multiple turns where you can be building or spreading about. The idea of warfare is probably better in the beginning because getting a forward dock, especially before another player pops construction, is really essential. Having that many resources, you want to spread your fleet out in multiple places, especially if you're going to go use that edict on other people later in the game. And then I think once you've already built your fleet up, and once you already have it ready to attack, then you're going to be getting leadership. Getting 6, almost 6 influence off that home system, 2 command tokens with that, so 5 just with that. And then at that point, you're probably already going to have your commander unlocked. I cannot stress enough how powerful this commander is. Once you get this commander, this is all you need. Warfare, goodbye. The hero is also pretty interesting. I think it requires a really intimate understanding of the game state. If somebody is on Mechatol and you want to push them off, you've got to have a reason for it, and you've got to also make sure that that person can't counterattack you. If you haven't been choosing warfare, they might have it, and they could definitely counterattack you if they won the battle by a landslide. But so you're really going to have to think about using your hero before you actually use it. You could use it to move yourself, but that's in a very niche situation because you have that commander to be able to just keep reusing your command tokens, keep warfing yourself round after round. It really all comes back to that, and I think the hero is incredibly clutch in some games and will do almost nothing in others. That agent is one of the most easy to sell agents I think I've ever seen, but you have to know when to use it. Take a look around the board, use it late in a round, and when somebody really is, oh no, I didn't take warfare, or I really need one extra token to, or one extra space to activate, look at them, say, I'll give you this, you know, give me a trade good to bump that 5 up to 6 for home system, or something more later in the game if it's even more clutch. But it's really easy to sell if you can explain it well to another player, and if you're taking a token off and using it for something like construction, that means that you didn't actually activate that system, you don't have a token. So if somebody pops construction, use that secondary on it, and then immediately build with that space dock you just built. And if you mess that up, commander's there to help you out. Their starting technology with the predictive intelligence and biostims is a little bit overkill at the beginning. I don't think you're going to be needing to rearrange your command tokens multiple times a turn, especially when you haven't even used Edict yet. So during the round in which you're preparing to attack these people and take their tokens, I think you're going to want to keep predictive intelligence at the ready, because when you are taking those fleet tokens in, you want to immediately pop that predictive intelligence, grab that commander ability, unlock it, and then have a couple more to be able to use in the same round. Realistically, grab 2, the commander unlocks, move those 2 out, and have the 2 you need to use the commander. It's really all integrated a lot better than I think it comes across at the beginning. Another tech that I think you're definitely gonna want to need is hypermetabolism. First of all, it's gonna set you on your path to get that Crimson Legionnaire 2, which is a really powerful but slow engine for trade goods, and then immediately be able to get 3 command tokens after every round, getting that extra that you need to reactivate systems. If you're not taking leadership or warfare, you're definitely going to want politics, because in those clutch rounds where you need to go first, politics can absolutely help you do that. And you might even want something like fleet logistics if you want to go the blue route to get those multiple turns where you can prepare for somebody's counterattack. Either that or counterattack with your mechs. You've got to plan multiple turns ahead with these guys, but I think that although they start really weird, they're going to be able to shoot past all the other players at the table if used correctly by an experienced player, or a player that wants to just begin and really dive deep into the mechanics of the game. This is not a faction that has gimmicks to it. The taking of the command counters and not being able to give out your Alliance Promissory Note is a lot less of a gimmick than it comes across at first. Volwraith Cabal's taking of other people's ships, it's fun, but it's a gimmick. This is not. Being able to use those command tokens, and more importantly, not use your own until you need them, is so integral to the mechanics of the game that you're going to have more than anyone else at the table. unless you're playing against Soul or Necro, and in that case, good luck to you. I think that the Scepter of Dominion promissory note is game by game. It really is. Giving it out to somebody in a clutch moment where they really need to diplomacy themselves, they didn't grab the card, and somebody's coming to attack them, somebody's coming to wipe them out so they can't score that public objective. Swoop in, give it to them. I don't even know if it needs to be paid for that much. I mean, if they aren't winning the game off of it, then just grab a couple trade goods. Make it nice for yourself. You're not really going to be using it on yourself unless them locking you out of that tile is going to lose you the game. And in that case, don't even mention it. Speaking of that mech from before, this is your diplomacy. You'll never have to take it. Realistically, you're attacking those people. Those are going to be your enemies for the game. They're going to be the ones, unless they make the entire table spiteful against you. Those are the ones that are going to be coming to attack you in the first place. So these mechs are great to create a barrier around your home system and even on your home system to block those people away. I think that this, in the hands of the right player, can not be aggressive at the table, but really sit back, take a look at every single thing that everybody's doing, where every command counter is, where you want your own command counters, where you want your tech, which doesn't really need more than a secondary. I don't think you should be really taking that card that much. And just sitting back and understanding the table state. They're a very controlling, but not aggressive faction. Unlike the Cabal, unlike the Necro, unlike the Sardak Nor, you don't need to keep attacking somebody over and over in order to get the benefits off them. You may even be able to make an alliance with somebody and say, hey, let me nibble on your one infantry, on your one fighter. I'll win that space combat and I'll grab your commander's ability. Although the ability where you can't take their alliance promissory notes kind of seems like, oh, this has to be aggressive, I think the theming of this faction is they can't negotiate. It's more of somebody surrendering themselves to the Mahact. And in that way, I think the control of this faction really dominates the game. And I think you're going to have a wonderful time if you really understand the rules of the game. And with that, speaking of the rules of the game, later on I will have a full Prophecy of Kings and base game tutorial up in the top right-hand corner for you, up on that card, and I'll be coming out with a whole bunch more of these faction reviews. So hopefully you enjoyed yourself. Thanks for coming along with my crash course, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.